We are live here with my dear, dear poetry friend, David, aka Native Son. And we are so excited to have this member and hopefully soon another member of the Fifth L coming on to talk about their new release, Black Body. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
And we want to obviously give honor and respect to everything that's going on right now with the Black Lives Matter movement for people who have lost their lives, who have been arrested and jailed for the riots that are going on. Want to send out our prayers to those families and those people who have been affected, as well as George Floyd's family and so many others that are currently being affected right now by everything that's going on with police brutality. So we definitely want to, pay homage to them and send up our prayers and respect to them. For sure. So, with that being said, let's hop straight into this interview.
Okay.
All right. So, congratulations on your newly released album, Black Body. So, what drew you to spoken word, and how did you meet Femi the Dry Fish?
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to the Dry Fish. Hopefully he'll join us in a moment.
Yes.
But so I've been writing poetry for as long as I can remember, maybe 7 or 8 years old. Maybe I don't know if it's too much younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I started out writing poetry, short stories, things like that. Thank you. And I was sharing that stuff like at the church I was going to, and so they would put me on the mic on Sundays, to do a poem, to rap, whatever. Like in the middle of the gospel song, they would like say a rap, they would have a gospel song, they would have a rap in it, and so that's kind of how I got started doing that to the point where I began to tour churches, like going to different types of churches, eventually like mosques and other religious places, doing my poetry. And then one day in college, many years later, I met a guy named Raven who took me to my first quote unquote secular poetry event, which was the 5 Seasons, Warm Wednesdays. And before that, I didn't know that people was really doing poetry like that, doing what they call spoken word. I didn't call it spoken word. I didn't know that's what it was.
Right.
And he took me there, and I got introduced to this whole new world. I saw people who I was just blown away by. Like, these were not amateur open micers. These people were like incredible performers and writers.
Yeah.
So there was a group called The Family that used to come in the venue at some point in the night. Like, they would not be there in the beginning. They wouldn't be there at sign up. They would walk in like at 9:30, 10 o'clock when the place is packed and jumping,
Wow.
And Femi, the Dry Fish, was a part of that group. Also, my man Chuck the Mad Ox, big man Gary Logan, Karim is, and and Romel, I'm sorry. And so when they would come in the door, it was like superstars walked in. Everybody knew who they were. I didn't know who they were. But as soon as I saw them perform, I was like, man, I was just blown away.
Yeah.
They were like celebrities to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I would wait for week after week, for them to come in the door and perform. And eventually I ended up meeting them because I couldn't get on the mic until one day somebody let me on the mic, bassman, called my name, the last name of the night.
Oh, wow.
And I guess they saw me perform and they were like, hey, we want you to be in the group. And so that's how I met the Dry Fish. That's how I met Chuck the Maddox and the other.
Yes.
And that's where it started.
Awesome. And now look at you. You performed in over 100 performance venues in 19 states, 60 plus colleges in the United States, holding it down. You know what I mean? What are 3 highlights from your career with your group and personally with you in spoken word?
Highlights, I would say just the privilege to be able to collaborate with some of the best writers in the world in performance. I studied under some great people. There was a group in the spirit of it still lives, Poetry for the People, Baltimore, Olu Butterfly, Either Poet MC, Akil Maizon, like all of these people I came up under, and I was able to study under. Femi the Dry Fish, Chuck Maddox, Sir Reigns, Complex. And so by me studying under them, I felt like it just made me better. And not only that, it was just a pleasure to know them and be around them, because these are superstars to me, the
Right.
people that I came up around. And also just traveling. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know about now because I haven't been out as much as I used
Mhm.
to be, but
Mhm.
there was an incredible alliance among, the neighboring states.
Mhm.
So Virginia, PA, New York, we all would, New Jersey, we'll all travel back and forth to see each other and to perform with each
Yeah.
other and for each other. So that was definitely a highlight. I mean, I got a chance to, meet people like KRS-One and the Last Poets, DJ Red Alert,
Mhm.
Grandmaster Cass. These old school cats who gave us the thumbs up and told us that we were great. So, I mean, that kind of stuff made me feel good.
Yeah.
So those are some of the highlights.
Okay. Brian Hoyt says complex. Woo, where has he been?
I don't know. He's around somewhere, but I'm sure,
Yeah.
he's still doing his thing.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Black Body. So what brought to you the concept and the idea behind Black Body?
So for the last few years, 3 or 4 years, maybe even five, I've been studying trauma and mental health, and also I work at a University of Maryland Shock Trauma Center, and so I see a lot of folks come into the hospital with intentional violent injuries, and most of them are people of Black and brown skin,
Yes.
and you just think about those things. Throughout history, the assault on the Black body, like all of these things I just been thinking about over the past 4 years. And it culminated to me pitching this album to Dry Fish to do something, to say something about it.
Yes.
But the other piece to that is that Timmy has a group called Out of Water Experience, and he was just, for that whole year of 2019, 2018, 2019, I was still in school. I was going to school for social work, and he was like, yo, I'm about to stop. I'm about to quit. I was like, hold up. Before you do that, we got to make one more album. We got to do,
Yes.
Fifth L has to do one more thing. And so that was initially my drive to want to do it. The
Mhm.
Black body concept came a little bit later,
Okay.
but it was really to keep Demi performing because he's certainly like one of my heroes of the poetry world, and just as a man in real life, of
Mhm.
just continuing to be an artist and not stopping for nothing. And
Yes.
even when the rest of us went and got jobs, or we just hung our hats up, he didn't stop doing it. He kept going, and so he's kind of like my inspiration, and the and for a lot of people, I would say, because I've heard people say before, they are working a 9 to 5, but they're like, man, don't stop what you're doing. You living a
Right.
life, and they live vicariously through him. But it's hard work to do that. So I wanted to do another album with him specifically so that we could to keep him performing. That's really what
Yeah.
it was about, to keep him
Right.
performing.
Okay. And so you talked about this a little bit, but how long did the project take to complete, and what are you most proud of about it?
The project it was maybe about 6 or 8 months. I came to him early 2019, and we were sitting, tossing around some ideas, kind
Mhm.
of sketching out, what we want to do really. And so it wasn't until maybe I would say August or November of 2019 where we decided, you know, what we wanted to shape the album around.
Okay.
I know for me personally, I was feeling a lot of heaviness about just the physical and mental anguish afflicted upon Black people, and male and female. And I think our women, a lot of times, and we're talking about a lot more now, and I'm glad that they get left out of the conversation or somehow is diminished, when they are either assaulted or killed by the
Yeah.
police or by an intimate partner.
Right.
And these things are just, it kind of just moved on, steamrolled over. And not to take anything away from the gravity of Black men being killed.
Right.
Um, what I want to say is to raise the bar and say it's Black men and women being
Right.
killed, and we need to honor those people the same. We need to go after um, seeking justice in the
Yeah.
same way. And as with as much vigor, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be exhausting, I know, because even since George Floyd's death, there have been even more,
Right.
attacks, assaults, and killings. And so we usually pick one to be the face of the movement, but
Mm-hmm.
there are women in the mix of that too, and we
Right.
need to make sure they get justice. And I don't want that to get lost.
That's so true. And then, like, some of these incidents that have happened recently, like the woman getting hit with a skateboard or being tossed into the dumpster, like, what message do you have to give to men who are not holding their brothers accountable, like in these situations?
I don't know if I have a message. I think it's more about, how people, because I can't hold somebody else. I
Right.
can hold myself accountable,
Yes.
but I think that I don't know what's in people's minds. I don't know what they're doing, but I do know that this is something that we can't take lightly,
Right.
and we need to speak up. And when there are opportunities um, to not only speak up but to take action, then we should do that. The people I hang around, the guys I know, they ain't about no bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're not going to allow those kind of things to happen. There've been situations where um, women have been in clubs or things like that where we've been where that answer was met. But we're not going to hear those stories either. And
Right.
but that part is not the issue. The issue is when it doesn't happen.
Right.
So what to say to those people, I don't know if I, to be quite honest with you, if I have a message to say, like as if I'm in a position to
Speak to them on that.
yeah, I don't know. But what I do know is just what I'm feeling from the heart about that. I keep seeing situations like on the album I spoke about Tatiana, um, Breonna Taylor is another situation where it's just like this can't
Right.
keep happening like this.
Right. So
Um,
true. So
yeah.
true. Iris Marie Craig says, good question. So thank you for that. And we're going to move on to the next one. So what advice would you have to give to others who want to delve into the artist spoken word but don't know how to start?
To be honest, I didn't know how to start either. You just do what you do. So here's the irony about being an artist. You are creative, right?
Yes.
So it's like there's no blueprint for that. Create it. Create your own path. If you are an artist, you got to create it. And so that's the irony of it, because we're looking for how do you do it? What's the way to do it? But we're also claiming to be artists. So artists, like part of it is just figuring it out and being creative and how to start that. And so really, I didn't start out with any type of notion to become famous or anything like that, or seeking something from it other than just the gratification of being able to share my words and my work and to be understood. To actually make a living off of it, I didn't really have that in mind, to begin with. So my advice to anybody that's doing it, I would just say, it's kind of generic, what other artists tell you to do. Is just, hey man, just keep doing it. Like that's really what it is. Just keep doing it and believe in yourself, and assert yourself in places where you want to be.
So true. You got to just start. Like I remember when I started in the DMV area, I just came to pure poetry and I did my piece and then I kept going. You know what I mean? I just kept performing. So I totally agree with that.
So it takes you places. So like I told you, I started in a church. And look, am I going to write a book and say how to become a spoken word artist? Go to church, Baptist preferably. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where it happened for me. Not really with that intention, but it took me places. So because I performed somewhere, I shared my poetry somewhere, someone in that audience saw it and was like, hey, can you come here? Then I went there. Other people saw it there. Hey, can you come here? Can you come here? And you kind of start jumping the country like that. And before you know it, you've performed in 1,000 places. And then eventually someone wants to write you a check to come perform. So somebody gives me $50. I'm like, okay, I'll perform. And then I get so many of those demands to the point where I start to command what I want to perform, So it's a slow process, and there are no shortcuts to it. And
No.
I'm no superstar or anything, but I
Sure.
feel like I've been fortunate to reach a certain level where
Yeah.
I've been able to sustain myself for quite some time.
For sure. We have a special guest. It's Femi. Join us. Awesome. So now we got Femi, the dry fish, and David Native Son here with us.
You can ask them all the juicy questions now.
Yes, we can ask all the juicy questions now. So we were just talking about what advice would you give to others who want to delve into the art of spoken word but don't know where to start. And we're gonna hop back into the other question, but let's start with this one.
My advice is always don't do it. A life of art is a life of suffering. And nah, I'm joking. I've always, it's funny. It's weird because the way I came into the art scene in Baltimore, it was really a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And, I started out not really good at knowing how to deliver my work.
Okay.
So it was always, so I can honestly say I was horrible at it for over a year, if not more than a year. I have people that I'm really close to now in the art scene who would always remind me how much they hated when I got on the mic, and I'm a big fan of, when you want to do something, throw yourself in the river and figure out how to swim.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're always trying to look for people to show us the way, but I feel like art, when it comes to art and entertainment, there is no one way.
No.
There is no one way. You need to figure out what's your best footing. But the first thing I think you should always do is you need to work on you first.
Yeah.
And you might be really good at delivering your work, but you might be shaking your writing, or you might be really good at your writing, but shaking delivering, because you're communicating with an audience. You need to learn what best works for you as a communicator.
Yeah.
There's so many different styles to do it, and you have to figure out what part of your personality best works to communicate with a stage.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of just throw yourself in first. Don't try to be perfect, because you won't know you don't know who you are as a performer until you start performing. You don't know who you are as a writer until you start writing. So I'm a big fan of figure it out first by putting yourself in there, and then get it wrong to get it right. And it's okay to get it wrong. And I think we're in such a space where we're always afraid to be wrong and not get the snaps and the cheers, or know that or you get the snaps, but it's the snaps you're supposed to get because you just got up there, but that's okay. It's good to know it, that when people are cheering for you, that you still need to do better.
Yes. So very true. And so let's talk a little bit about Black Body. So for you, what was the process of bringing together the concept and the idea for Black Body?
Is this for me or David?
For you. David already answered. It's your turn.
Well, first of all, some point in time in August of last year, David bothered me with a phone call. And we've been apart creatively probably since 2011, 2012-ish. We weren't consistently, routinely doing stuff together. Between 2002 and 2011, 12, we were pretty much a married couple, which really, made it difficult for his wife to really be close to him. So we had to take some time apart, and I had started a hip hop rock band. That's what I've been moving with most of the time. So I might have been saying some things out of the side of my neck, like I'm ready to quit. And some of it is just, I'll be 45 this year. And
no way. Stop.
Yeah.
A loaded gun.
If you eat white paste glue, you will stay looking this young. And the one thing I can say, I've had a joy of being able to pay my bills and raise my son with using my artistry. A lot of performing, a lot of traveling, and also in the latter years, a lot of, arts and education.
Right.
But I've had the joy of that. The downside of it is I've never had consistent income. I can never see far ahead of how money looks.
Okay.
So it's always been hard to plan.
Yeah.
And I just got to that point where I'm like, I want to be able to plan ahead. financially, so I can do some things. And so I was talking about getting jobs, so on, going back to work. And so in the midst of all that, Dave was like, "Yo, we should do one more album, yo, just to set it, let them know, yo, that we real out these streets, And Dave is one of my, I like creatively, I love working with David. David's one of the few people that I can barely explain something and he understands exactly where I'm going with it and execute it.
Yeah.
And I've loved being able to do that, and especially because Dave and I artistically are nothing alike.
Nothing alike.
We're nothing alike. Different. But outside of the art, we're almost very much alike. So it was cool. It's cool so the concept of Black Body was us fishing for what we're feeling right now. And the goal, the process really was, let's find music and let the music determine where we go.
Yeah.
And so the music really, we went to a producer, a singer-songwriter that we know by the name of J Soul. And the question was, we want to go through your library of music and pick what we want. And we could only pick what we were immediately excited about when we heard it. It couldn't be something like I'm kind of feeling it. Let me see if I can write to it. No, it was always like, we both have to agree.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. We both have to agree. So picking through J Soul's library of music, we did 2 sessions with him where we sat around for a few hours dancing through his library of work. And through that, we picked 4 joints. We picked 4 joints.
Okay.
And I think the first joint we wrote to was Black Body, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
the title track of the album.
Yeah.
And that became our vehicle.
Homework, yeah.
It became our vehicle, and we started building from that. And I think we tossed around a lot of names.
Okay.
But David came up with the idea of Black Body, not just for the Black experience as human beings, but I think there's a cluster of stars. Is that what it is? A cluster of stars that also represents a Black body, and it absorbs light. So we're trying to make a correlation between us as human beings and a body of stars.
Ooh, I like that. Yes. So David already got into a little bit of how long the project took to complete, but what are you most proud of about the project?
Let me see. There's a lot that I'm enjoying. I enjoyed. This is the first album. Okay, first of all, we cheated. It's only 5 songs, so I'm not sure. I think about an artist that cheated. When Nas put out his first album called Illmatic, he cheated. It was only 7 songs. Was it 7 or 9?
9, I think.
It was 9 songs with all of the best producers ever in the game at that time.
Yes.
So he couldn't lose. There's not one song on that album. And so we did 5 songs, which I consider to be cheating, but it's 5 songs that I don't regret doing. And I say that as in, I can go back and listen to any one of my albums and be like, we could have just not done that song. I love the album, but there are certain things I'm like, we could have thrown that away. We could, or we could have done that better. We recorded this album. I love the recording. I love the deliveries. I love the production. The engineering, the sound quality to me is one of the best of sound quality I've had the honor of being a part of.
Wow.
So like the total package for me, and then we're shooting videos, and then both our videos I think are really dope for what we need them to be.
Yeah.
So I'm really I'm most proud of the entire project and how it came about. But I like the finished product a lot. I'm very proud of the entire project.
Awesome.
It's very perfect for me.
Hey, can't be better than that. And so, if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what advice would you give yourself? And David.
Excuse me?
If you could go back to the beginning of your career, what advice would you give yourself?
I would encourage myself, one, to take better chances. There's some things I do now that I was totally against. I never liked working with music in the beginning of my career.
Okay.
I never wanted to rhyme. I liked doing spoken word poetry. And if we did it over music, I had to do it the way I normally deliver my work. So I never wanted to learn how to move with the music. And I've learned in the last probably 5 years that it's okay. You can do that. You can. And I say rhyme. I wouldn't consider myself a rapper, but I know how to fit my words into the pocket now too. So I'm able to play with both dynamics of delivering my work.
Yeah.
I would plan better.
Okay.
There are some things that Dave and I did in the past. We did some really elaborate album releases. Two specific ones we did at Center Stage for the Water Margin and the Reset album that we were so overwhelmed with how much it took to pack out those venues that when we did the album release, then we were so exhausted we did not follow through afterwards consistently. Where we should have mapped out a tour schedule from that point on and really nailed the coffin. And another thing I really regret doing that I would tell myself, we did a lot of college tours and the money was good, but around that time, this is before a lot of this moment of internet, everything, you can find everything online. And we should have went to every radio station of each college we went to and let them know we were here and dropped off our material for the DJs to play. And that's just something you were supposed to have done. We did way over, over a course of 2-3 years, we did way over 50 colleges. And we didn't take advantage of that and we didn't think about it at all.
Okay. And David?
Yeah, I agree. And, like I told you earlier, starting out, like I didn't think of this as something that was going to spend out of me just performing or sharing my work for the simple fact because it's something I wanted to share. So, turning it into a business was not what I had in mind initially. If I did, it would have probably gone, a little bit different and employing help from people who knew what they were doing. But things that advice I would give myself is that, it's okay to say no. You don't have to agree to do every type of show. We've been in some really crazy situations where we probably should have said no, but the caveat to that is that, or the other side to that story is that some things that we said yes to that we was a little like, I don't know, it actually benefited us in the long run. So it's kind of just knowing when, but it's also, I would say, don't be afraid and to be more confident, in what I had to share, and I probably should have moved to New York. We talked about that a lot, is that we should have moved to New York a long time ago during that era. It's not, it's not against our city. I love Baltimore, but for what we was trying to do, we should have been somewhere where people who endorse that stuff, where they work. And we were trying to do this from a blue collar city where people were like, that's cool. We don't have to go to work the next day. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't an industry for that.
Right. So this question is for both of you, and whoever wants to go first. Who are your heroes and heroes?
I'm sorry.
Who are your heroes?
I'm sorry, there's a lot of popping. I can't hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure why there's a lot of popping going on. But it seems like when both of your mics are on,
buddy, what is it?
I can't even hear anything now. I'm gonna leave and come back in. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
What I think when both of the mics are on, there's popping going on, yours and his. Because when I tried to turn mine off, it didn't affect it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was your question?
My question is, who are your heroes and sheroes?
Yeah, like I said earlier, the people who I'll say it like this: anybody who exhibits the courage to be themselves unapologetically in the face of or at the expense of being persecuted. I think that those are heroes and heroes to me. Like people would just assert themselves just to be who they are, knowing full well that people are not gonna like me, and yet they do it anyway. So I kind of look at those people in admiration that when they're able to do that.
Okay. And you, Femi, who are some of your heroes and sheroes?
One more time.
Who are some of your heroes and sheroes?
Wow. I'm a huge fan of. I'm a hip hop fan, so my writing spawned from a lot of rap artists that I grew up listening to. I was a Redman fan. I'm a Razzcast fan. I'm a Pharoah March fan. I'm a De La Soul fan, and those are environments where I really enjoyed the cleverness of writing.
Okay.
I use one of my best examples is that we don't know anything more about Redman today than we did 20 years ago, and yet we enjoy everything he writes and the way he says it. He said nothing for almost 20 years, but he's done it in such a fun way,
Yes.
and he's so quotable. So I enjoy the art of just being witty with words and being clever and animated with the words. And through Redman, and hip hop artists, I really got that. And when it comes to stand up comedy, is where my other side comes from, as far as what I enjoy. Once again, about how you communicate with the audience. A lot of my favorite comedians are very social, political, and very in your face and shocking occasionally. So I can never land any one thing or two things, but I enjoy music. I enjoy good stand-up comedy. I enjoy good writing.
Okay.
I enjoy good writing. And whether it's in film or whether it's in a book that I read here and there, anything that will hold me over and make me seek the next page or seek the end of the film. I just want to see good writing. I don't care where it comes from, somebody's or nobody's. I want to experience good writing that's going to move me, and not typical writing. There's sometimes I feel like we fall into a world where there are things I think are so typical. I want to see something new. I want to hear something new. And there's nothing new under the sun, but there are different ways to approach it. I want to experience the different journeys to get to the sun.
Yeah.
And whomever is available to do that for me, I'm here to listen. I'm here to experience. I'm here to read it. Whatever it is, let me experience it.
Awesome. So we're going to start with you again. How has the pandemic affected you, and how are you staying encouraged during the pandemic season that we're in?
Well, for one, not being able to do live performances, we decided to release an album at the beginning of the pandemic. This is crazy. But so I miss doing that, just being able to perform and to promote this that way. I mean, and of course, all of our lives are pretty much virtual right now. So, even at work, everything is Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. We're Zooming all day long and not going anywhere. So that's kind of the blow, but also like watching how weird we are to interact with each other and see people out and people are like don't know. It's like we almost forgot how to interact. Everybody's masked and like bandits. So I think that's something interesting to see. And I think and just seeing different places where they have so much signage about social distancing. Like they are planning this in our minds to be socially distant. And I really think starting out, that's the wrong terminology. We should have came up with a different term, physical distancing or something else where, because are we really trying to cut out us being social in society? Like, so those are some of the things I think about it in that way, where if you're in the supermarket, like, oh snap, I went down the wrong aisle. What are they going to do to me? It's weird how it's just changing the way we think, about one another. And so that's one way I worry about my children a lot, and how it's affecting them. I wonder if it's going to be similar, with generations before us. For example, what children were like during the Depression, and how they grew up, they became our grandparents, and how that we don't talk about that part, but how the Depression affected them, so here we are during a pandemic where we're forced to be home. And so when our children become adults, parents, grandparents, and they're running the world, we're gonna see the effects that what a pandemic has on that generation. So those are some of the things I think about. I know it's morbid, it's dark, but I worry about those things. I worry about my children and if they're gonna come out of this fine. So yeah, that's it for me.
And Femi?
For me, well, first of all, I still make my money off of performing in a lot of outdoors activities, engaging folks. So it kind of shut me down for a moment. It shut me down. I had to figure out ways to hustle some money just to stay afloat. But I also associated with an organization called Young Audience of Maryland. So they have found ways to keep artists occupied and functional. I host an arts and learning show for that programming for Baltimore City, and so that's really where I'm coming from right now. Like taping today ended early, so I was like, let me run upstairs and get on the call. The other thing for me, man, I'm interested in seeing what happens next. Like, so there was a pandemic in America, oh my God, probably in the 1920s or 30s, something like that. And I don't remember, I guess I need to read up on when did we come out? Because around that time they were wearing face masks also. And I'm wondering, do we come out of that? Because every moment we have here in America right now that we're trying to come off of that, the numbers go up. And so I'm just kind of nervous about where do we end up, because I'm not gonna lie, I hate wearing the mask. And mind you, I want to be Spider-Man, so it's kind of conflicting. And it also makes me realize what it's taking for Spider-Man all these
exactly
years,
like to wear that all day. He can't wait to come out of that.
So I do
see, Batman was smart. He left all of this open. See, that's why he's the smartest superhero ever.
So the pandemic pretty much has just kind of slowed how I was going to move. And like David said, we decided to release an album in the beginning of the pandemic. And I wasn't afraid to do that. It's not our strength area. We're good at our live shows, and we're able to use that to really build the rumor around our work. And I feel like we, doing the online release allowed us to apply strength in the area where we're weak. I'm good at being online, but I'm not good at marketing online. I'm good at being obvious, but marketing is also it's a different muscle. So it just calls for us to have to put energy and effort behind something that we're not as strong, not really strong. And as far as that, other than that, it's just, for me, it's a moment. We'll slow down for a hot second. We probably needed to slow down anyway. We're past through the whole world has been moving really fast, especially since the moment the internet became popular. Everything started moving really, really fast. So I'm a big fan of let's slow down, stop for a minute, and take in the air. I just looking forward to us moving beyond this. And yes, our society will be slightly different. We'll have a new norm, but I just want to see what it looks like. I'm eager to see what it looks like once we come out of this.
Hey y'all, there's a suggestion in the comments to mute our mic when we're not speaking. It might help with some of the noise.
Yeah, when the other person is talking, both of us need to mute them that I'm not talking. Okay, so unfortunately, we have come to the end of the Black Motivation broadcast, this week's episode of Midweek Motivation. So this question is for both of you. What words of encouragement, of strength, what words would you like to leave our audience with on this episode of the Black Motivation broadcast? So whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. Motivation. Stay black and die. You know what I'm gonna say, and I don't know if it's controversial, but we as Black people also we need to we need to care about the details. There are things that we fall victim of because it sounds like something we like, but it looks like something we can enjoy, and it might be flattering or catering to us, but it really be the okie doke. And I really am a big fan of, like, just because you like it or it seems like it might cater to you, make you feel good, doesn't always mean it's for us. And there are a lot of things that are happening right now that I see that there's a lot of, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like there's a lot of pandering happening and we're falling for the okie doke. And we don't have to embrace that. But another thing I want to say, it's okay to let 5 Fortune 500 companies go bankrupt because of us, regardless if they apologize for any rhetoric they put out online. We should let them fail. We should let companies fail, even if they apologize, to show them we are powerful. 5, has to be 5, to make examples out of 5 major companies so they know our true power. We've not let them see our true power yet. Companies have to fail because we stopped supporting them. And it doesn't matter if they apologize. They have to fail. It doesn't matter if they put a black CEO in front of us. It doesn't matter if they hire 30 black people. I don't care. 5 companies, major companies, need to fail because we say no. And if that happens from that point on, we'll be respected. And that's what we're not receiving in this country is respect.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that for sure. Yeah, definitely. You said it. I'm not gonna add anything to it. And now, David, what words would you like to leave?
I just want to thank everybody for joining us on this show, on this episode. I thank you for having us. All of our fans, I don't want to call them fans, but people who supported us throughout the years. Baltimore, people say you don't get no love from home, but Baltimore has been good to us. Some of the surrounding states and folks have been good to the Fifth L. So we just want to say thank you to all of those folks. And if you don't do anything else, please just support the EP, Black Body. You can get it on Spotify, iTunes. Check out our latest videos on YouTube. What else for me? What am I forgetting? ANARTKEY Music. That's AnArtKeyMusic.com to check out some more information about us. And hit us up. We're on Facebook as well, the Fifth L on Facebook. So just keep it up with us. Keep sharing. If you like what you hear from us, just keep sharing it with folks who want especially our latest video to get some legs and to go other places outside of circles that we're familiar with. Even if you don't like it, just share it. Like, yo, look at this bullshit. We do that all day anyway. Look at this bullshit. Click, click. Look at this bullshit. Click, click. You know what I mean? We share with our friends all day, screenshotting and all that. So, even if it's on some, F the Fifth L, look at this bullshit. I want y'all to share it with your friends and your family. Send it to someone you don't like. Send it to your boss, whatever. I don't know, and do it anonymously. Let them see that Black Body video.
Yes, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this week's episode of the Black Motivation Broadcast. I want to shout out Mamie Brown in the comments, Stiletto, for coming on here and joining us as well. And thank you for everyone who has joined us on this week's episode of the Black Motivation Broadcast with the Fifth L's. Check out their album, y'all. Get it. Tell everybody about it. I don't know why I'm clapping, but you know what I mean? It's serious. When
Clap it up.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This has been an episode of the Black Motivation Broadcast, and we are out. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Bye. Yes.